Hi guys, Scott Woodward to talk about the Cronulla Sharks in 2014. And look, we're not going to spend a lot of time on this team simply because they're in the hands of Asada, and quite frankly, they could quite easily lose 3/4 of their team during the course of the season. So there's not a lot of point in talking about them in January of 2014. So look, just given that everything goes well for them and they actually don't lose any players, we'll just touch on a couple of key points that I think are worth talking about. Look, they had a great year last year, finishing fifth. Unfortunately, their first casualty is they've lost their coach. And their assistant coach, Peter Sharp, has come in. And while he knows the players and he knows the system very well, the fact of the matter is he hasn't got a very good coaching record. Total 39% win record with all the clubs that he's been to. And he's been to quite a few clubs. That suggests to me that he's not a first-grade coach. So first and foremost, that's a massive problem for the club. Secondly, Luke Lewis looks like he won't be back until round 4. So that means that they'll be starting without him. And I would suspect that probably Anthony Tupou or somebody like that will come in and start. Now, look, I mentioned this last year, and the same applies. Their skipper and high-profile player, Paul Gallen. He's such a polarising character. And he demands the ball, and he loves to get very high stats, high work rates, and gets all his Supercoach points up and all that sort of thing. And that's all very well for Paul Gallen, but it's not good for the coach. It's not good for the team. He's not very good at distributing the ball. He's not very good at putting players in the gap and setting players up, but he's very good for Paul Gallen. If you have a look at the stats last year when he played, the Sharks won 8 games when he played, and they lost 8 games when he played. And when he didn't play, they won 7 and lost 3. They're quite telling stats. And the reason for that is because the Sharks have got some very good back rowers and guys that were able to do things that they normally wouldn't do when Paul Gallen was on the side. And they actually went better as a team. Guys like Wade Graham and Anthony Tupou in particular, Andrew Fifita went sensational when Paul Gallen wasn't on the field. And so I would like to see Paul Gallen play up front in a prop position and stick to the middle third of the field and not be out wide on the edges. I think they've got much better edge runners in the side than Paul Gallen. Look, I don't think that'll happen because with the coach gone and the assistant coach coming in, I'll be very surprised if Paul Gallen doesn't get his own way, which is a shame for the side. Probably the biggest problem that the Sharks have had in recent years is the centres. They've had a lot of trouble in scoring points. And they've had a lot of problems in defending in the centres. Now, one of those problems is gone. Ben Pomeroy, he was very ordinary in defence, and he's been replaced by Blake Ayshford from the Tigers. For me, that's like for like. I don't see any improvement there whatsoever. I'm not a fan of Blake's. I think he can do some wonderful things when he's got the ball, break the tackle. He's big and strong, but he can read defence very poorly, and I don't think he's going to be the answer to the Sharks' problems. The other problem is they've got that they've lost Matt Wright by the look of things. As I'm talking, he hasn't signed, and that will mean that either Ricky Leutele or Jonathan Wright will fight that left centre position out. So already they've got some problems in the centres, but they have got a world-class 5'8". They've got a world-class fullback. And in Andrew Fifita, they've got a world-class prop forward. So there's plenty of talent in the side. One of the problems that they've got, I was very surprised to see them re-sign Jeff Robson. Now, while he's a good worker and a good talker, and which is something that the side needed, he's not a genuine first-grade player, certainly starting in a spine position. And when it's such a key position as halfback, I can't have somebody like Jeff Robson starting in my team. And that's another problem that they've got. They rely very, very heavily on Todd Carney. If he's not in the side, it's a different side altogether. They'll be also different with Michael Gordon. He had a fabulous year last year, and he certainly is state of origin quality, Michael Gordon, and he would be an ideal player for me to play off the bench because he can play so many positions. He can play just about any position in the back line, Michael Gordon, and he is a 90% goal kicker. What a wonderful talent he is. So we've got several world-class players in the Cronulla side. One of the up-and-coming guys, Michael Leutele, I think that's how you pronounce his name, Lichaa. You certainly will be hearing a lot from him. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being the starting hooker by the end of the season. He's that good. He's very promising. He had some injury problems last year, and guys like John Morris and Isaac the Goyce are in front of him at the moment. I don't know if that'll be the case during the season. I think he's too good to leave out, and I think he at least has to be off the bench, and I think he'll be fighting for that starting position at some stage of the season. I wanted to mention, look, I've talked about Carney, Gordon and Fifita. They'll be in just about any team that I'd be putting on the field. Paul Gallen, I think he can serve the team much better playing up front than playing out wide. I'm a little bit concerned about the bench for the Sharks. It looks a little bit skinny to me. Doesn't look like a big impact. That's, of course, providing Andrew Fifita starts. And I think he should start. Look, he'll probably start, I would think, with Sam Tagatese. While I'm not a massive fan of Sam's, I think he had a good season last year, and I saw a lot of improvement in his play, and I think he probably deserves the opportunity to start again. With Luke Lewis injured at the moment, I could only see probably Anthony Tupou starting with Wade Graham. And look, I've got a player as what Wade Graham is, and I think he's good enough to start. He seems to me to be a much better player off the bench. He makes a genuine impact when he comes off the bench, and you can't say that about a lot of guys. When they come off the bench, the reason for them to come off the bench is to make an impact when you come on. Wade Graham certainly does that. He's outstanding off the bench. But given the injury to Luke Lewis, there's no doubt that he'll be starting when if they play Paul Gallen up front. I certainly would like to see Wade Graham go to lock forward, but I would assume a worker like Chris Huntington will probably be in that position. But look, they've got some good young kids coming through. Look, I won't go through them at the moment. It remains to be seen if they can make it into the top 17. We talked about Asada. Going to be interesting to see what happens there. But if they can hold their team together and they can find a combination in the centres and won't leak so many tries, and they can actually get a few more tries and play a solid 80 minutes, I think the Sharks will be very competitive during the season. At this stage, I certainly can't see them playing in the semi-finals. They've got too many question marks for me, despite the world-class players in the side, and obviously they've got a 39% coach with them. So I think they're going to struggle to play semi-final football, but I do think that they'll be very competitive at home, and providing they can actually put their best 17 on the field each week, I don't think they'll be embarrassed in any game they play. They cover off most of the positions. Good strong forward pack, good strike out wide, and with the world-class backer like Todd Carney leading them around the field, they're going to win a lot of games. But for me, I have them just outside the 8. And should be a long year for you if you're a Sharks supporter, so I wish you all the best. Good luck.